Hey Merfolk fans, I'm Joe. Thanks for tuning in today. If you'd like to support my channel, please check out the link to my Patreon page in the upper right hand corner. I'm here with a replay of a modern queue, testing my Simic build of Merfolk with the new Ixalan cards. Let's go ahead and have a look at the opening hand. Well, we've got lands, we've got creatures if you count Mutavault, and we've got a counterspell. I feel like this should have been a mulligan, but I think I kept it. Yeah, I kept it. Opponent kept as well. Yeah, probably should have been a mulligan. I make bad decisions sometimes, but we're gonna do the best we can. Botanical Sanctum into Aether Vial. Misty Rainforest, Breeding Pool, so Island Walk is already enabled, and Hierarch. So maybe this is like Bant Nightfall? Maybe Bant Humans? So Spreading Seas is decent. Since we can get Master the Pearl Trident out with the Aether Vial, I think I'm going to go ahead and draw a card off this Spreading Seas. Just take the opponent off a little bit of their green mana. Speaker is excellent because we get to put it out with Aether Vial right now. So there's a Pilgrim. So it's possible that taking the opponent off of some green mana has slowed them down a little bit, because there's a Plains. Alright, so get to put my speaker down and tick Aether Vial up. Botanical Sanctum, decent because we get it in untapped. Better to draw it sooner than later. I do have mana up for Spell Pierce. I'm going to swing with these guys, and opponent's going to try to Path to Exile this. Now, I have the Spell Pierce up, and I didn't cast it. This is an example of me learning how to play this deck. I haven't used Spell Pierce in a while. Now, this deck is clearly a deck that plays Collected Company. So I was thinking, all right, well, let's leave Spell Pierce back and try to counter their value spell in Collected Company. But they're making their land drops. They've got mana dorks, and this Spell Pierce is going to get pretty useless pretty quickly. I left mana up. I really should have countered this Path to Exile, but I didn't. I decided to let it resolve and be a little bit greedy with my Spell Pierce. Now, if this same exact situation happened again, I would 100% cast the Spell Pierce. This deck, I designed it to win early, and Spell Pierce, you use it early in the game to prevent things like removal from happening. So, you know, lesson learned. Hopefully you guys can take something from that also. I'm going to bring the Lord in here, just push a little bit more damage. We've still got Spell Pierce up. Hopefully the opponent just makes a land drop and goes for Collected Company. But it looks like they're not doing that, so another path. And we see here that it's Spell Pierce is no good because the opponent can pay for it. So I have to let that resolve. Kind of a bummer. Let's see, click through this here. I thought about Spell Piercing, but in the end it would have been pretty dumb. So let's see, what else does the opponent have? Reflector Mage. So maybe I should have Spell Pierced it to take them off of the mana for Reflector Mage. This is getting worse and worse here. Aether Vial stays at 2. Lord is decent. Happy to not see another land, but you guys can see, even with 18 lands, yes, I drew 2 lands off of Path to Exile, but this is my 4th turn, and I've got 5 lands out. I would have otherwise had 3 lands out, which is definitely more than enough. I mean, 18 lands feels pretty good so far. Let's see, get that Aether Vial out. Now, I can't play Kumena Speaker because the Reflector Mage bounced him. Opponent plays a land, and that puts them safely in Collected Company range where they can pay for Spell Pierce. So a little bit disappointed that the Spell Pierce has been wasted. Reflector Mage getting in for 3 here. I'm going to take it, and then at the end step, bring in the Lord. I really need to draw some gas right now. It's what a 32 creature deck is built to draw, built to just draw into creatures nonstop. Aether Vials are going to be on 2 and 1. And Harbinger is okay, but not really good for Reflector Mage. We don't want him to replay that guy because it's a pain in the butt. Let's see. If I bounce the Reflector Mage, replays it and bounces any of my creatures, I'll have Aether Vials to get them back into play. It's not a big deal bouncing this guy, but I felt like I could leave the Harbinger up a little bit. Can't attack into this Collected Company mana. All right, so here I'm going to Spell Pierce finally. It's getting really useless. If the opponent wants to get a shock land, let's make them pay 2 life for it. And they did, so that's helpful. A little bit, I guess. They pay for the Spell Pierce, and what do they get? Double Champion. Well, that might be a good target for the Harbinger of the Tides. They both come in as 2/2s. So things getting a little bit scary. Ugh. A Human Lord. So that's going to make the champions into 3/3s, and then the static effect of the Lord is going to make them into 4/4s. Kessig Wolfron. Going to push even more damage. What are they doing here? Well, this is the definition of greedy. The opponent's on 0 cards. I don't have to play around anything. They know that I have a Kumena Speaker in hand, so I can just easily eat their dorks. They don't know I have the Harbinger, but man, this is going to be value town for me. I'm going to bounce a champion. And then eat his mana dorks. It's going to make his Kessig Wolfron worse because he's not going to have extra mana to pump into the Wolfron. And the opponent has no more white mana to replay the champion on this turn. So this feels great. I mean, we have Island Walk, so with nothing else, we can get in for 6 next turn. We're on a 2-turn clock now. The opponent does have some big guys over there. Cursecatcher is a creature. Better than drawing land at that point. So let's put the Cursecatcher out. No real reason to cast him instead of using Aether Vial. Yeah, and I think I'm going to try to take advantage of this 2-turn clock. I did a little bit of math. The opponent has a champion in hand, and with the lands that they have out, they need to tap 3 just to sort of activate Wolfron. Then they can pump 2 mana into any creature. So if I leave back Cursecatcher and Lord, they'd be swinging for 4, 3 is 7, and 1 more is 8. If they pump 2 in, they're only swinging for 10, and I can throw one of my creatures in front. I think that's how the math works, so I'll reevaluate it next turn. But we're going for the win here. We messed up our Spell Pierce earlier, so we really have no right to win this game. Opponent replays the champion. They have 1 unknown card in their hand. Well, okay, so that champion just got bigger. That changes the math a little bit, but I think it just makes it 11 instead of 10, and we've still got 2 back to block. So the opponent, let's see, so Temple Garden's going to let him buff 1 more than they would otherwise, but they spent 1 mana paying for champion, so I think the math is still just increased by 1. If we look at it again, they need red, green, and Wolfron to get it going, so that's 3 lands. Then they're going to pump for 2 with Trample. So whichever creature they target with Wolfron is going to have Trample, so it doesn't really matter which one we block. So throw the Cursecatcher in front of champion. He's going to be a 7 power with Trample. So 7, 3 is 10, and 11. Block 2 of it, take 9, and I live. Important to note that if I had to, I still had 2 extra power or toughness with the Lord to not die, and I could have top decked the Lord and still won. But I did the math like 4 times. I took a lot of time just sort of double, triple, quadruple checking. The opponent is going to go, again, they're empty-handed. They're going to go for the Wolfron. Give this guy Trample. So I'm going to take 5 over the top, and then +3 +1 is 9. Go down to exactly 1. Don't be too afraid to go down to 1. Opponent has no cards in hand. Read the board. Know what you're dealing with. Make accurate decisions. So yeah, I got there in game 1, despite totally flubbing my earlier Spell Pierce. So look away for a minute if you don't want to see the match result. Before we look at the opening hand, let's take a look at the sideboard decisions. Hopefully, I'm trying to remember to do this every game. I took out the Spell Pierces because they have so much ramp. You saw it can become a dead card. So let's see, I took out 2 Spell Pierces, 3 Branchwalkers. I don't really know how to sideboard yet, but Branchwalkers are great value, but I feel like they come out before the Mimics who make the rest of the team bigger. So took out 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. All right, and I brought in 3 Dispels as a hard counter for their removal and their collected companies, and 2 Dismembers. They don't play any real combo that I saw, so we don't need 3 Dismembers, and we lose life from our mana base anyway. We don't overload on Dismembers unless we're going up against something like Devoted Company, I think. So again, 3 Dispels in, 2 Dismembers in, 2 Spell Pierce out, 3 Branchwalkers out. So that's the sideboard. This is a beautiful opening hand. I'll keep this. Breeding Pool for Noble Hierarch, again giving us access to Island Walk. Didn't want to draw that 4th land. Once again, showing that the 18 land mana base is very often, most of the time, just more than enough for this deck. My testing has been pretty limited, but it's just felt totally sufficient. Oh wow, did this guy keep a 1-land hand? Oh, he did, but he's just powering out all of these dorks. I drew another land, so that's my 5th land. I'll drop a Mimic. I don't really want to attack in case the opponent it blocks with Pilgrim, hits a land, resolves Collected Company. Yeah, I just felt it better. I don't need the 1 point of damage, I think, so just pass through here. Another Monodork. And a Lord, so these guys are doing Merfolk better than I am right now. Noble Hierarch getting double buffs, swinging for 3. Pretty impressive for a Noble Hierarch. Another land. All right, so 6 lands. And yeah, we'll just play another Mimic, and we might have to start trading here. Okay, if opponent hit a 2nd land finally. And they go for Collected Company. We can see that Spell Pierce would have been dead. They have mana to pay for it. Cursecatcher's also a little bit dead. Let's just hope they whiff. And they sort of did. They only drew a Thalia. You can see how Collected Company can be pretty stinky. Opponent decides to stay back. It's good for me. Oh my god. 6 lands and an Aether Vial. Come on. So, yeah, I've got to pay extra for my Spreading Seas. And a 7th land. Sometimes the game just doesn't want you to win. So, pass to the opponent. And what has he got? Thalia's Lieutenant is an instant scoop. That's effectively another Human Lord. And I just can't handle it. I've got 7 lands and an Aether Vial without any Path to Exiles. So you guys can't blame me for that game. I run only 18 lands and I drew 7 of them, almost half of my lands. Let's go ahead and look at game 3. Look away if you don't want to see the result. I'm going to click out now. I'm back for game 3. I'll be on the play. Hopefully just swarm the opponent. This is a keep. It's a nice diverse hand. It's got perfect lands and Aether Vial. 2 lands with our colors, 3 creatures and a Dismember. Yes, this hand is actually pretty solid. So I kept, the opponent kept. Let's go ahead, Botanical Sanctum into Aether Vial. Harbinger can hopefully slow them down. The Noble Hierarch, hopefully they tap that guy. We can get a lot of value by bouncing it with the Harbinger. So here, let's see. I think I'm just going to get one of these lords onto the table. It's not quite time to dismember yet. We don't know what the opponent's working with. Oh man, it looks like they kept a 1-land hand again. And with a Harbinger and a Dismember, this could be pretty gruesome. Let's get this Kumena Speaker onto the table. It's going to come in as a 3/3. A really, really big 1-drop. Feeling great playing that guy. Aether Vial will go up to 2. Oh, and I drew a Spreading Seas. So we're setting ourselves up for like a beautiful lock here. If we take the opponent off green, they can't even recast these guys if I bounce one of them. So I think the play here is to go to attacks, give the opponent sort of minimal information on what we're working with. They do have Hierarch up, so it's possible they tap it, like to use a Path to Exile, in which case that sets up the Harbinger to bounce her, and then we follow up with Spreading Seas. If we draw land off Spreading Seas, we can even dismember the Pilgrim this turn. So this is, wow, this is just really, really brutal. So attack with these two guys. Oh, here we go. So he's pathing the Lord. Happy to grab an island off of that. Unfortunately, it comes into play tapped. I am going to just let the damage resolve, and then second main, I'll play the Spreading Seas, sort of see what I draw off of it. Let the opponent think that I top-decked the Harbinger, which I actually did. Bounce their Hierarch. This is so cool. All right. Next turn, we have another Harbinger and a Dismember. So no plays from the opponent. This is so satisfying. Okay, so leave Aether Vial on 2. Another Aether Vial, whatever. It really didn't matter what we drew there. Okay, again, we go to combat. Yeah, I thought about playing something, but we go to combat first. Give the opponent minimal information. Swing in, and let's see what the opponent chooses to do here. So no blocks. Just gonna let damage happen. So second main phase, it's time to dismember this Avacyn's Pilgrim and really just demoralize the opponent. Okay, so actually this is pretty cute. He's trying to Path to Exile his own creature, using the mana that creature generated in order to go and get a basic land so he can get his game started. And then this is the most delicious play that I've had in a long time. I get to bounce his Avacyn's Pilgrim before he gets to path his own creature, keeping him off of his basic land. Oh my god, it's so good. I hope you guys appreciate this. Yes, I mean, the opponent is working with minimal resources, but he kept 7 cards, so he's to blame. I mean, he totally crushed me with a 1-land hand in game 2. So it was a reasonable keep, but he just scooped there. But yeah, those last 2 turns were just so satisfying. So I think, yeah, this was Bant Humans, a really, really aggressive deck. You saw it in game 2. But I'm also playing a really aggressive deck with some of these cool tempo elements like Harbinger of the Tides. Some of you guys keep telling me like we should trim the Harbinger of the Tides, but I don't think so. This guy is just better than Phantasmal Image. Phantasmal Image dies to everything. Dies to Reflector Mage. Harbinger of the Tides, just an amazing tempo card. It helps us get some extra time if we need it to get our aggro online. And it creates really fun situations like we saw in that last game. So thanks for watching, guys. This has been my Simic Merfolk build. Really low to the ground, just 2 and 1 drops. We've got a couple of main deck Dispels, which if used properly are really powerful. They really help the aggro plan push through. Yeah, let me know your thoughts. Please check out the link to my Patreon page if you'd like to support my channel. Please subscribe, and I'll catch you guys in the next video. Thanks as always. Bye.